Let me pull up this story, and I'll show you exactly what we're talking about. From U.S. News, Justin Trudeau seizes emergency powers to curb protests. They report, Prime Minister Trudeau invoked emergency authorities Monday to end demonstrations that have paralyzed Canada's capital and beyond since late last month. But he assured Canadians that he would not call in the military. Quote, this is about keeping Canadians safe, protecting people's jobs and restoring confidence in our institutions, blah, blah, blah. We're not suspending fundamental rights or overriding the charter. Yeah. The move comes even as traffic began to creep back to normal Monday at one of the continent's busiest border crossings. The Emergencies Act has rarely been used and would give the federal government extra powers to restore order by ending the demonstrations. That is to say, peaceful protesters who are demanding they be heard by their government will be arrested, will be shut down. And that's it, because the government said so.
Yeah.
No redress of grievances, just force by the authorities. And people are calling it martial law. But if you're not familiar, this is the Great Honkening. Truckers are protesting. They're saying, we don't want these vaccine mandates, lift them. Trudeau says, shut up, do as you're told, you pathetic poor. And this is what they do.
Yeah. This is... If you go to DC and you go to the National Archives and there's the Constitution, there's the Declaration of Independence, fascinating. It's really cool to see in real person. A little bit off to the side, not centrally prominently located, is a copy of the Magna Carta. 1215, 7 years ago, it should have had a much bigger celebration than it did. I thought Obama dropped the ball. I thought the world dropped the ball. But and I'm going to be nerd for a second. For the first time in the history of mankind, power was ceded to this thing called the law, whereas up till now, power was ceded to other powers. So Ian is the king, but if Tim kills the king, now the power is ceded to Tim. And the nobility of England said, you can't just say you're in charge because you're in charge. There has to be something greater than you, and it is the law. And one of the parts of the Magna Carta is the petition of grievances and habeas corpus, right? And to say you have to be able to bring evidence against me. You can't just say, I have declared that this is unjust, and because I am all power. And we've lived this way for 807 years. And to get little Trudeau to say, this is wrong because I have declared it thusly, is abolishing 9 centuries of what makes civilization. I mean, it really is an affront to humanity as we have known it almost the last millennia, because it destroys the rule of law.
Donald Trump did not invoke the Insurrection Act. When they were riding across the country from small towns to big cities, burning down buildings, around 30 people dead, Donald Trump said, I can't do it. You know, he wanted to do it. Tom Cotton said, send in the troops, and Trump would not do it.
Yeah.
Trudeau, seizing emergency powers, promising not to bring in the military, but seizing political power. Why aren't they calling him a fascist?
Why wouldn't Trudeau's cabinet or his advisors tell him as a first act, why don't you find the head trucker and just say, head trucker Steve, why don't you just come to my office and let's talk?
That's too reasonable.
Right?
That's too reasonable. And you would think that Canada, of all places, would want to give the truckers what they want. People in America don't realize how less densely populated it is. They need truckers way more than we do. They have cities few and far between. I really don't understand the logic here.
No.
The logic is Trudeau probably views himself as a better man.
Yeah.
And so when the unclean poors are demanding a seat at the table, he's probably going, oh, at my table. Oh. It's like the Lord Farquaad in Shrek, Get that thing out of here. Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. He's not going to sit down with lowly truckers. Heavens. Because it would be so easy for him to end this. They're already talking about ending the vaccine mandates. He could just be, they've already talked about saving face. Instead, he's like, what he wants is he wants people to know it's his power.
Yeah.
And he will wield it against you, regardless of your rights. He wants you scared. This is the desperation of the state, mainly in Canada, but we've seen it here in the U.S. in some forms. They're scared that if the people realize they have the power, because government is for, by, and of the people, well, then the people might actually take command and try and vote for things the people want. But the establishment, the uniparty, the powerful elites, the banking interests, the corporate interests that work hand in hand across country lines, they can't have that.
I don't know if Her Majesty's a fan of your show. I hope she is. But she does have the authority to dismiss her prime ministers who are in her realm. And I kind of wish she would step up and just say, Trudeau, like
That would be incredible.
Has she ever done that?
The last time was it hasn't been in a while. It was William the Fourth, so like 18 something. But yes, he did dismiss a prime minister.
But that was UK.
Yeah, UK. But she can the other prime ministers as well. She can Canada, Australia, New Zealand, like not the Commonwealth, but the, what do they call it? The Crown, I guess.
Imagine being the Queen of England and having, abdicated responsibility for what's happening in the Commonwealth and done nothing. Unless, of course, she supports it.
I think she supports it.
Or maybe, for all we know, she's the one who called Trudeau and says, do as you're told, and invoke the act and shut it down.
Maybe she did.
Yeah.
I think Biden was involved too. When Trudeau disappeared, I started hearing whisperings that he's been meeting with other world leaders in there.
He did meet with Biden.
He did.
And Biden promised to intervene and help them.
Yeah, exactly. So
and
now
that's crazy.
Now he's emboldened. And so what they're going to do, according to some, I don't know who this was. I listened to some minister of Canada. Canada's deputy prime minister said that they are broadening Canada's terrorist financing rules so that they can cover crowdfunding platforms and cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
Look at that. Check this out.
That's why we get rid of the dollar. Make everything digital and we can control it.
From Timcast.com, TD Bank freezes personal bank accounts that received $1.1 million in support for Canadian truckers.
Look at that.
The bank said it could not determine if the money's donors were entitled to a refund.
This is bad news.
Yo.
He says he's not calling in the troops, but in a way,
take it.
economic siege is worse.
Yeah.
Like, you could either stage troops around the perimeter of someone's house, or you can just make sure the food no longer gets in.
Yeah. This is just insanity. And that's the scary thing about our digital information age, is what you guys are experiencing all the time. We can just decide you can't have a bank account, you can't have a credit card, you can't have an Uber account. I mean, there are people right now who can't have Uber accounts. Heck, Michelle Malkin, it was banned from Airbnb.
Her family.
You know what?
You can't have an account on our platform.
I feel like if we don't do something real drastic or something right now, these truckers are going to get thrown in the gulag like these people on the 6th.
Yes.
Probably, yes, absolutely, they will. The Canadian version. That they're already calling it an insurrection. They're saying it's like another January 6th moment, just like Joe Rogan's.
That's so insane. They're saying it's a nationwide insurrection.
Yeah.
But look, what the truckers are doing is exactly what they should be doing. And, I'll push back and you say something drastic. No, nothing drastic. Something simple. More truckers, more people, peaceful. You see, what we're seeing with them freezing banks, with invoking military powers, you know why I love it so much? It's proving that the state, the authorities, the elites don't know how to handle peaceful protest. Because when you have a violent protest or a riot, people get angry. Black Lives Matter lost a ton of support when those riots happened. Regular people are like, we don't want conflict. So when you get peaceful protesters in trucks blocking things, oh, sure. A lot of people got mad at the truckers in Ottawa and they're like, I want to drive. But to the average person in Canada, they're probably like, oh, there's peaceful protest. What do you mean? Black Lives Matter did the same thing, blocking the roads. It's, I'm not that bothered by it. When the state comes in and starts cracking skulls, people start asking questions. During Occupy Wall Street, I was there on like day 3 when it started. It was very, very tiny. I remember standing in the rain on like a Thursday, and there was like 12 people in the park, almost nobody. And we were under a big tarp. And this cop walks in and he's got a raincoat on and he just looks at us and he's like, man, I respect what you guys are doing. And that was it, because there was nobody there. It was like 12 people and we're standing around like, so this is it, huh? That weekend, when a few thousand people showed up to march, Officer Anthony Bologna walked up to a group of women standing on the sidewalk and pepper sprayed them in the face for no reason. Huh. The video at the time was said to be the fastest viral video in the history of YouTube. It got like 1.2 million views in like 10 hours. All of a sudden, Occupy protests popped up all over the country. All of a sudden, people descended upon New York, and there was this massive, occupation now in the park. Why? Because when regular people saw 3 women saying to the cops, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And the cop, for no reason, just blasts them in the face, regular people got mad. When people see nonviolent civil disobedience, peaceful protesters saying, respect me, they're like, that's right. You should respect the working class. And for Trudeau to come out and crush them would ignite a massive wave that could go international. They can't do it. So they're freezing assets. They're freaking out. They're trying to navigate this. So I will stress it again. Nonviolent civil disobedience works, and it works so well. Trudeau has seized emergency powers, rarely if ever invoked, because they're panicking.
Yeah, you know what's amazing is that for 170 years you've heard the cry "Workers of the world unite" since Marx said it, right? And you literally have the workers of Canada uniting, and the people who wore Marx and Engels T-shirts in college, they're now all in these positions to be like, crush them. Like, this is a literal workers' protest, and the elite who love socialism are like, this cannot stand.
I love the propaganda. There was a meme on Reddit. It was like front page, and it said, "Thank you to the 90% of truckers who are doing your jobs and delivering our goods." And I'm like, I got to be honest. I'm willing to bet a lot of the truckers who are still working still support the other truckers.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they do.
I don't think when you thank them, they're probably like, "Shut up."
Yeah.
Right.
I'm working because I need to feed my family, but I respect what these guys are doing.
That shows the disconnect. They don't care about the working class. They don't assume that the truckers that are still trucking just literally needed to obey to feed their family. They just assume that they agree with them because they care about vaccinations. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be curious to see how much more this escalates, and this use of power to shut down bank accounts, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse, and Trudeau is too stupid and too fearful to control the situation.
So the simple thing is, they said it's a nationwide insurrection. Okay. They're trying to make it sound like January 6th, but on January 6th, you had violence, and they were able to use those videos, put them all over the place, and you get people freaking out about it. Regular people who don't know better see those videos and like, I don't want to have anything to do with that. But peaceful protests, call it an insurrection all you want, it's not going to work. They're going to keep panicking. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.